Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. And what a listen it was. Just got done listening to it actually a few times. It was really interesting, as everything with Devin Townsend is. It's Devin Townsend's new album, Lightwork. Man, this guy never stops making music, it seems like. I actually learned about him way back in '93 when he did that Steve Vai album, which I keep forgetting the name of. I've had it forever. Sex and Religion. And I've been a fan of Steve Vai for years. I actually got to meet Steve Vai way back when he was in Whitesnake. A little bit of bragging there. And so, I was a fan of Steve Vai's work even way back with David Lee Roth is when I first heard from him. So when he was bragging about this new singer that he was going to have sing on his album, went out and got it. It was Devin Townsend, obviously. And I remember listening to it going, what the heck did I just listen to? That was the most insane singing I've ever heard in my life. I didn't even know what to make of it at first. I remember the first time listening to it, I was caught completely off guard, because in case you haven't ever listened to Devin Townsend, he doesn't just have a style of singing, he has many styles of singing. And I didn't know that he was also a guitar player and songwriter, and he produces most of his music as well. And so when I first heard him, that was quite a shock. But I really liked listening to that stuff, that album. So I listened to it a lot. And then when he went on to form his own band there with the Strapping Young Lad, I don't know, that didn't resonate with me quite as much. So I kind of listened to what they put out, but I never really got into that band. And so when he went solo, I kind of lost track of him. I just didn't pay much attention to him until, 10 years ago or so, probably longer than that. Saw something on YouTube where he was just performing himself and singing acoustic guitar, but he had some backing tracks or something. I don't even know what show it was. I was like, whoa, it's him, and he sounds amazing. I'm like, I might have to go check this stuff out. So I did, and man, I was like stupid for not paying attention to him, because man, is his stuff good. He's got so many different things going on. He actually does have a few of these ambient music albums out that I don't care for too much, but that's about it. Everything that he's done, either as himself, as the band, as the project, Devin Townsend, this and that, I've really liked a lot. He actually did the beginning of all the the shutdowns and everything. He did some live performances of just him playing with some backing tracks in his home studio with multiple cameras set up, and man, the dude's a character, let me tell you. But he can play, he can sing, he can do all the stuff live. I don't know how he remembers all that stuff, because he just was taking requests and playing anything. And he's got, I don't even know how many songs he's got. I think this is his 23rd album, maybe. I don't know. I actually didn't look that up, but I'm guessing. But anyway, back to this album. This one, he had a couple between Lightwork and Empath, called The Puzzle and Snuggles, which were kind of interesting, to say the least. That's probably a whole new review on its own. But this one's more like a song-oriented type album, and that's kind of what I like the most from him. And but this one was really song-oriented. In case you don't know what I mean by that, if you haven't listened to any of his old stuff, his song structures aren't normal by any means, and they don't follow, it's a regular verse, bridge, chorus, solo out, type, structure like, a lot of bands follow. This one's close, although, there's some, weird arrangements on this one as well. It's more, I don't even know how to describe this. His music is so hard to describe, but I'm going to give it my best shot in here. I'm not going to go through song by song, because, quite honestly, I haven't listened to it enough to actually break down which song is which yet. I've just had it on playing and stuff. A lot of his stuff kind of blends together. There's not a whole lot of riffing on this one either. They're like songs, and he uses a lot of weird, I guess not a lot, but he does use some different tunings when he's on his guitar. I've seen interviews with him where he shows his tunings, and it's basically, he's said himself, he doesn't consider himself a great guitar player, although I think he's pretty good. He does it for ease when he's performing live, so when he learns the songs, he doesn't have to remember a lot, which I guess does make it easier for him. But it does kind of give him a different style of writing. And his production style is what I describe as a wall of sound. He does like background vocals. And I've seen like things on TV where he's just shown how he produces his stuff. And he talks about how, a lot of people will make, background vocals, they'll double it, sometimes triple it or quadruple it. No, he'll make 25 tracks of, one part, and then 25 tracks of another part, so it sounds like not a choir of people, it sounds like an army of people. It sounds huge of people singing. He does that with the guitars. It's just this wall of sound. He does that a lot, and it's just this massive sound that really doesn't sound like any other band out there. So when I'm trying to describe it to people that haven't heard it, it's quite difficult. This one's the same way, although he does add a lot of keyboard parts into this one. And I also want to make note that this is the first one well, I don't know if it's the first one or not, but I remember seeing or read an article actually where he was talking about he was really hesitant to do this, and he didn't really want to like it because he was working with a producer, and he's like the type of guy that likes to do everything himself, so he wanted to hate this album but he couldn't. It's kind of funny, but so he worked with a producer. I think his name was Gary Richardson, if I'm remembering that right. Might want to double check me on that one, but I think that's what his name was. And nobody I'm familiar with, but I think he did a pretty good job on this. He's a Canadian artist, so maybe that producer is somebody that works up there. I don't know for sure. It was just might not be somebody that I'm extremely familiar with. And the production on this is still very similar to the stuff he would have done on his own. So I don't know how much input he had or what he actually did to direct him on this, other than maybe just the songs are a little more structured, I guess is a better way to put it. Except for the very last one, Children of God, is like a 10-minute song, epic, amazing. Another highlight on here is the song Equinox. It just kind of takes you through ups and downs, and I don't even know how to describe some of the stuff. He's got like techno stuff going on, which will immediately go right into like this heavy guitar, and then it'll mellow out. But if you've never heard him sing and is screaming, he's got this really unique scream that he does. But he screams in key, and then he harmonizes with the screaming while screaming, and it's like, what? And it's so hard to describe. I'm giving it my best here, though. In the mellowest part of the songs, he's got screaming going on with harmonized screaming, and it sounds like relaxing. It's really amazing what this guy can do, not just with his singing, but just the songwriting. And who thinks of that? Just where do these ideas come from? It just blows my mind every time I hear him do something. And this album's, like I said, it's got a lot of keyboards in it, which are really up front, more so than for a rock album. I mean, because the song out of this album is, I would classify it as a rock album, not really too much metal going on this one, which he can definitely do too. But overall, it was a great listen. I'm going to keep listening to it because it's just mesmerizing stuff. I think I just really am a fan of this guy. And I got the deluxe album of this one. I have to do it. Whenever I get something, I have to get, everything, and I have to get the deluxe editions of everything. It's just, that's just the way I am. And it's called Nightwork. And now, if you're a fan of his crazy stuff, like Ziltoid and, the heavier, more progressive stuff, he goes nuts on Nightwork. Man, there's some, like, schizophrenic is the only way I can describe this type of music. It goes from, like, blistering, guitar work to some mellow, almost, just ambient keyboard part, and then it'll click right into like a blast beat, and then it'll be the screaming guitar solo again. And it's just, I don't know, it's just insane. And I'm so glad I got both of these, because it's almost like having they're two completely different albums. So I guess that was supposed to be the leftover stuff from Lightwork, but it doesn't even sound like anything that would have ever been on Lightwork. It's completely different. It's heavy. It's, like I said, schizophrenic. If you've listened to Ziltoid, I love Ziltoid. It's crazy. It's funny. And this one, he's got a chicken crowing in the background and a couple. It almost sounds like in one of the songs he's singing through a didgeridoo. I mean, this is the experimental stuff this guy does, and somehow it sounds amazing. I don't know how he does it, but it sounds amazing. Just want to also make a note that he's got, a couple guest people on this. He's got Steve Vai actually playing on this album, and I'm not going to say this name right, but it's Anneke van Giersberg or something to that effect. I never say that name right, but been a fan of hers for quite a while too. She was in a band called The Gathering that I used to listen to a lot, like years ago, even though that's not been around at all anymore. And she did some stuff with Aaron Lukinson in his projects. They actually did one together. I think it was called The Gentle Storm, if I'm remembering correct, but I haven't listened to that one in a few years either. It was like they did a couple different versions of that album too, where he or she sang a lot of stuff that everything actually. Then there's a lot of songs he wrote, like a mellower version and a heavier version of it, and it was like the exact same album except heavy and mellow versions of the songs. It was actually pretty cool. So if you get a chance to check that out, she's an amazing singer. And of course Steve Vai, I don't have to mention that he's an amazing guitar player. So, and there's several other artists on here that I didn't recognize at all, but he has just done it again. And says he's going to take a break. He always says he's going to take a break. He's been talking about this musical he's wanting to write called The Moth, which I thought was going to be the next thing after the last two, but he ended up releasing this instead. It was actually supposed to come out yesterday, but it's been pushed back till next week. I just happened to order this one in ahead of time and got it, so I was lucky there. I've had that happen several times, and get promo stuff and whatever. So this is one of those I actually ended up getting myself, but ordered it way ahead of time. So I got lucky. When it comes out next week, I'm telling you guys, get out there and get this thing. And it'll be worth every penny of it if you're a fan of his older stuff or not. It doesn't even matter, because this guy is just amazing. You're going to like it. You're going to like it. I'm telling you. But if you don't, feel free to comment. If you like his other stuff, if there's something else I'm forgetting here, be sure to let me know in the comments. I know I just babbled quite a bit there, but I was really digging this. I wanted to get this one out there for you guys to hear and make sure you know that this is worth going to get. So, all right, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Talk to you guys later. See you.